Right now, there are probably millions of gigabytes of just incredibly valuable knowledge sitting on hard drives doing absolutely nothing.
Oh, without a doubt. Just gathering digital dust.
Right. And you have to ask why. Because, I mean, the moment a creator tries to actually monetize that knowledge, the internet charges them what is essentially a stupidity tax.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
You get hit with like $50 a month for some sauce hosting platform, another $30 for an email marketing integration, and this is the crazy part. You're expected to spend 40 hours configuring API webhooks.
And that's all before you've made a single cent.
Exactly. Before you even know if someone wants to buy your thing, we are looking at a system that is basically designed to punish the initial spark of an idea.
Well, it's a legacy infrastructure problem, really. I mean, for the better part of 2 decades, e-commerce was built for massive enterprises, not for individual people sitting at home. The architecture required a developer's mindset just to process, a $10 PDF sale. You had to understand merchant underwriting, secure socket layers.
Database management, all that stuff.
Exactly. The friction was just so incredibly high that the vast majority of digital products died in a drafts folder.
But today, we are looking at the platform trying to kill that tax entirely. So for this deep dive, we have a huge stack of sources. We're looking at platform architectures, pricing teardowns, developer specs, and some really solid beginner frameworks.
Yeah, all focused on a system called Payhip.
Right. And the core mission of this material and our goal today is to deconstruct exactly how you, the listener, can go from zero to your very first live product, entirely bypassing all those traditional bottlenecks of web development.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because starting an online store used to mean taking a massive financial risk, but the rules have completely changed, right?
They really have. The sources paint a very clear picture of a total paradigm shift here. We are moving away from the era of building a website and into the era of deploying a storefront. Deploying, that's a great word for it.
It is, and the distinction there is vital. I mean, deploying means the infrastructure already exists. You are simply plugging your specific intellectual property into a pre-engineered, highly optimized machine.
And the very first piece of that machine we have to tear down is the financial architecture. Because before we look at what you can actually sell, we have to look at what it's going to cost you.
Always follow the money first.
Exactly. And the sources heavily emphasize Payhip's free forever tier. It costs $0 a month in overhead to deploy this storefront.
Which sounds too good to be true, right?
It does. So let's apply some basic economic scrutiny here. If they aren't charging you rent for server space, and they are hosting potentially terabytes of digital files for inactive accounts, I mean, they have to be bleeding capital on storage and bandwidth.
Oh, sure, servers aren't free.
Right. How does the unit economics of that actually sustain a business?
Well, it operates on the power law of the creator economy. It's fueled by a revenue sharing model. So Payhip charges a flat 5% transaction fee on that free tier. Okay.
They're essentially acting like a venture capital firm, spreading their bets across millions of creators.
I see.
Yeah, they know that maybe 80% of the storefronts deployed might never make a single sale. And honestly, the cost of hosting those dormant kilobyte-sized PDFs is totally negligible in the era of cheap cloud storage.
But the winners pay for the losers.
Exactly. The 20% of creators who do break out, who go viral or build these massive audiences, they generate such high transaction volume that the 5% cut vastly outweighs the fractional server costs of all those dormant accounts.
I love that. It perfectly aligns the platform's financial survival with your success as a creator. If you sell a $100 course, the platform takes $5.
Right.
But if you completely abandon the project and it just sits there, the platform takes $0. You don't have this anxiety of a monthly bill draining your checking account. It's like opening a brick-and-mortar store on a busy street, but the landlord only asks for a few cents if and only if a customer actually walks in and buys something. That is a perfect analogy. The psychological benefit for beginners there is huge. It completely removes the financial pressure. You can build your store, you can test ideas, and just leave it sitting there.
But wait, nothing is truly free? Let's talk about the catch. 5% of gross revenue is massive depending on what you are actually selling.
It is.
I mean, if I am selling custom physical merchandise, say, I don't know, branded hoodies, where my manufacturing and shipping margins are already razor thin, giving up 5% of the gross to the storefront software seems like a mathematical death sentence.
Yeah.
Doesn't this model strictly favor high-margin digital goods?
That is a very critical distinction to make, and you're spot on. It really highlights who this platform is truly engineered for. You are entirely correct regarding physical goods.
Because the margins are just too tight.
Right. If your cost of goods sold is $40 on a $50 hoodie, you just cannot afford a 5% platform tax on top of payment processing.
No way.
Now, Payhip does support physical products, but really is an ancillary feature. It's for digital creators who might want to offer a limited merch run to their fans, not as a core engine for some high-volume dropshipping business.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, the financial architecture is unapologetically optimized for high-margin knowledge commerce. We're talking digital files, courses, coaching things where the cost of replication is zero.
Because in those scenarios, giving up 5% to avoid a fixed monthly SaaS bill is a highly favorable trade-off for a beginner trying to manage cash flow.
Exactly.
Okay, but we also need to map out the payment processing layer because that 5% platform fee is only half the equation, right?
Right, the hidden fees.
Yeah, the sources detail the standard payment gateway fees,
Right.
which are typically 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction, processed through companies like Stripe or PayPal.
Yep, that's industry standard.
But for anyone who has never set up a merchant account, this isn't just some random tax. What exactly is happening in the back end to justify that 2.9%?
Well, it is the cost of risk underwriting and global data validation.
Underwriting. Like insurance.
Basically, yeah. Think about it. When a customer in Tokyo buys a digital product from a creator in Chicago at 2 in the morning, the payment gateway has roughly 3 seconds to perform a massive heuristic analysis.
Wow, 3 seconds.
Yeah. Stripe or PayPal is analyzing the buyer's IP address, checking the credit card against global fraud registries, underwriting the risk of a chargeback, and facilitating the secure tokenization of the funds.
Tokenization meaning?
Meaning you, the creator, never actually touch the raw credit card data, which you do not want to do.
Oh, absolutely not. The liability there is terrifying.
Exactly. So that 2.9% is essentially the insurance premium you pay to ensure you aren't held liable for processing stolen credit cards.
And the platform's API architecture just seamlessly routes those tokens. You don't have to apply for a traditional merchant account, which used to take weeks of business credit check.
Oh, it was a nightmare back in the day.
You essentially just piggyback on Payhip's pre-negotiated trust with these gateways. But I want to look at that flat 30-cent fee for a second, because that drastically alters the pricing strategy for what you can actually sell.
It really does. It fundamentally breaks the microtransaction model.
Right. If you decide you want to sell a digital wallpaper or a short poem for $1, that 30-cent flat gateway fee immediately cannibalizes 30% of your gross revenue.
Just poof, gone.
Add the 2.9% gateway percentage and Payhip's 5% platform fee, and you're losing nearly 40% of the transaction just in digital toll booths.
Which means your baseline pricing psychology has to shift. You really cannot sell $1 items. The math just demands a higher perceived value.
It pushes creators toward bundles or higher ticket items just to dilute the impact of that 70-cent fixed cost. And that brings us to the scale-up strategy. Let's say you solve the pricing puzzle and your store actually takes off. You go viral, you generate $10,000 in sales in a single month. Suddenly, that 5% platform fee is costing you $500. Does that 5% start hurting at that point?
Oh, it absolutely would, but the sources outline a structural escape hatch for this exact scenario.
Oh, nice. What's the hatch?
The platform offers flat-rate monthly plans. These are specifically designed to drop that transaction percentage as your volume increases.
Okay, give me some numbers.
So, for example, you can pay a $29 monthly fee to drop the transaction cut from 5% down to 2%, or you can pay a $99 monthly fee to drop the platform transaction cut to absolute zero.
Oh, wow. So it is a pure mathematical threshold.
Exactly.
You just sit down, look at your rolling 30-day transaction volume, and the moment 5% of your gross revenue exceeds $29, you flip the switch in your dashboard.
You are utilizing the free tier as an incubator. You only absorb fixed monthly overhead once your cash flow is historically proven.
That is brilliant. It effectively removes the speculative risk of starting a business. You are never guessing if you can afford the software. The software's cost structure automatically adapts to the reality of your balance sheet.
It's a system designed to scale right alongside your success.
Okay, so the financial friction is solved. We have our zero-risk architecture. But an optimized financial structure is totally useless if what you're selling is weak.
Very true.
Let's shift gears and look at the digital shelves. What exactly are we putting on them? The source material breaks down a bunch of specific product types. We have a visual guide from the sources. It lists an incredible variety of what can be managed from this single dashboard. Let's decode these, starting with the most basic entry point.
Right, so the basic digital download, this is really the foundation of knowledge
We're
commerce.
talking ebooks, right?
Ebooks, yeah, so EPUB for authors,
Right.
but also high-resolution graphics for designers, or even heavily programmed Excel spreadsheets for financial analysts.
Basically anything you can save on your computer.
Exactly. And the defining characteristic here is that it is a static asset. You do the work once, you upload the master file, and the platform clones it infinitely.
And the perceived value is tied directly to the utility of that file.
Right.
But the sources quickly pivot to courses, which
Yeah.
seem to operate on a completely different psychological level. Like a PDF is just data, but a course is, it's a transformation.
That is exactly the right framework to use. A course requires a pedagogical structure. You aren't just handing over information, you are engineering an outcome for the buyer.
Right, so it's structured lessons.
Yeah, sequential video modules, attached worksheets, progress tracking. Because you are guiding them through a transformation from novice to proficient, the market tolerates an exponentially higher price point.
Give me an example.
Well, a PDF on photography lighting might sell for, say, $15. But a structured 4-week video course on mastering studio lighting, that can comfortably sell for $300.
Wow. Okay, so moving up that ladder, you hit memberships and coaching.
Yes.
This feels like the transition from a transactional relationship to a relational one. A membership model swaps the high-ticket one-off sale for recurring monthly revenue, right? By locking exclusive content behind a paywall.
Exactly. It's for recurring fan revenue. And then coaching is the apex of that ladder. You are monetizing your direct one-on-one time.
The platform essentially acts as a scheduling and payment routing engine for your personalized sessions.
Yep. But what is truly fascinating in the source material is how they categorize bundles.
Yes. I really wanted to push back on this because I noticed bundles on the list and it confused me. From a pure database perspective, a bundle isn't a unique product type, is it? It's just a shopping cart feature that groups 3 existing files together and applies a discount. Why does the platform consider a bundle its own distinct product?
It comes down to the cognitive psychology of the buyer. Specifically, it's about mitigating decision fatigue and leveraging something called Hick's Law.
Hick's Law.
Yeah, Hick's Law basically states that the time it takes for a person to make a decision increases logarithmically as the number of choices increases.
Oh, like looking at a massive diner menu and not knowing what to order.
Exactly. If a buyer lands on your storefront and sees 8 different deep dive manuals, their cognitive load spikes. They have to evaluate the relative utility of all 8, weigh the price of each, and fear making the wrong choice.
And often that friction just results in cart abandonment. They get overwhelmed and decide to think about it later.
And in e-commerce terms, think about it later means they're gone forever.
Right. So how does the bundle fix that?
By engineering a specific, let's call it a mastery bundle, that packages all 8 manuals together at a really compelling discount, you change the entire psychological paradigm.
I see.
The question for the buyer shifts from which of these 8 distinct products is the most optimal purchase to is the aggregate value of this entire collection worth the discounted price?
It collapses the decision tree into a simple yes or no.
Precisely. Furthermore, treating the bundle as a distinct product type allows you to generate a unique sales page for it. You can frame the collection not just as a random group of files, but as a comprehensive, unified curriculum.
It also acts as an artificial launch event, doesn't it? Like if you haven't created anything new in 6 months, you can package your back catalog into a spring reset bundle, artificially manufacture scarcity by offering it for 72 hours, and drive a massive spike in revenue without writing a single new word.
It is a fantastic strategy.
But wait, creating that massive bundle introduces a real mechanical problem.
How so?
Well, if I bundle 5 gigabytes of mixed media software utilities, high-res videos, dense PDFs, how does the platform actually deliver that payload? I mean, the exact second the credit card clears, without timing out or triggering some security protocol. Let's talk about the nuts and bolts of delivery here.
Sure. We have to view Payhip not just as a store, but as a digital delivery service. The architecture requires a highly elastic content delivery network, or CDN.
Right.
When that midnight purchase happens, the platform's API receives the success token from Stripe, and within milliseconds, the platform has to dynamically generate a secure, unique download link.
And that link is tied exclusively to that buyer's IP address and email, right?
Exactly.
To prevent them from just posting the raw download link on Reddit and letting thousands of people steal your hard work.
Correct. The link is ephemeral. It usually expires after a set number of downloads or a specific time frame. But the payload itself, the actual files, those are subject to intense security scanning.
This is where I want to focus because the sources specifically highlight a security block on executable files, like .exe for Windows or DMG for Mac. It's like an airport scanner stopping something potentially dangerous. But why do those specific file extensions trigger a hard block?
Executable files contain machine code that directly commands the operating system to perform tasks. They are the absolute primary vectors for malware, ransomware, and Trojans.
So it's a huge liability.
Massive. If a platform allows raw .exe files to be hosted and distributed via their network, they run the very real risk of becoming an unwitting distributor for a global botnet.
Wow.
So their internal scanners flag the file header and automatically quarantine it just to protect the integrity of their network and the safety of the buyers.
But that creates a massive problem for legitimate software developers. If I build a highly useful macro utility for video editors and it compiles as in .exe, how am I supposed to sell it if the platform rejects the upload?
The sources detail a very specific and actually quite clever workaround for this. It involves compression.
Right, the .zip file trick.
Exactly. The standard protocol is to just wrap the executable inside a compressed archive folder, typically a .zip file.
So a .zip file is basically like putting a lockbox around the item so the delivery driver knows it's safe to transport.
That's a great way to visualize it. Mechanically, the scanner acts on the outer layer of the file. It sees a standard, benign data compression algorithm. It doesn't unpack and execute the internal contents during the upload phase.
So the platform just verifies the container is structurally sound and hosts it.
Yep. The burden of execution is transferred to the end user. They download the container, unpack it on their own machine, and run the software at their own discretion. It effectively bypasses the automated quarantine.
That is super clever. Okay, so that handles software and static data. But what about the media architect? Someone dealing with heavy video content. If you're building a high-ticket course, video is non-negotiable.
Oh, absolutely.
The sources contrast two distinct methods for handling video delivery. Native platform hosting versus embedding a free link from YouTube or Vimeo. What's the actual technical trade-off happening here? Why would a beginner choose one over the other?
What's fascinating here is that it's a trade-off between premium enclosure and infrastructure leverage.
Okay, break that down for me.
Native hosting means you upload a 1 gigabyte MP4 directly to Payhip servers. The advantage there is absolute control over the environment. The video player is stripped of any external branding. There are no algorithmic suggestions pulling your student away to watch cat videos. And the perceived value remains high because it feels like a proprietary ecosystem.
But the cost of that enclosure is bandwidth and latency.
Right.
Right. I mean, Payhip is incredibly efficient, but they do not possess the global server architecture of Google.
Which is exactly why the alternative embedding is so heavily utilized by beginners. You upload the raw video to YouTube, you set the privacy to unlisted so it can't be found in public search, and you just embed the link into your Payhip course module.
So you are basically leveraging YouTube's multi-billion-dollar network for free.
Exactly. That video will stream flawlessly in 4K resolution to a student in rural Australia, simply because YouTube has edge servers localized all over the globe caching that data.
So you are trading a slight hit to the premium aesthetic because they might see a YouTube watermark in exchange for enterprise-grade streaming reliability and zero storage costs on your main storefront.
For a beginner bootstrapping their first course, leveraging big tech infrastructure like that is an incredibly asymmetric advantage. It allows you to focus entirely on the content, rather than troubleshooting buffering issues for students on slow internet connections.
Which brings us to the actual deployment, the 4-step blueprint. We understand the pricing, we know what to sell, and we know how to deliver the files. Now we have to actually build the digital front door.
Time to build the store.
Yes. We're going to move chronologically into the 4 specific steps for beginners to get the shop open. And step 1 is almost brutally reductive.
Pick one thing.
Pick one thing. The explicit advice from the text is, do not worry about all the options. Ignore the ladder of value entirely at the start. If it's a document, call it a digital product. If you are teaching a skill, call it a course. Don't try to build the massive membership yet. Why is this narrow focus so important?
It targets the exact psychological bottleneck that stops beginners from ever launching information overload.
The classic
Yeah.
info overload.
Yeah. When a creator maps out this massive ecosystem of tiered products, they dramatically increase their surface area for failure. They spend 6 months trying to perfect all these interlocking pieces, they experience severe burnout, and they just abandon the project.
It's the grand launch myth. We are conditioned to think we need a full Apple-style keynote presentation with a dozen products to be considered a legitimate business.
But the objective of your very first product isn't necessarily to generate life-changing revenue. It is to prove the mechanical viability of the system to yourself. It's about building momentum.
So just isolate the easiest thing.
Right. Maybe an ebook that is already 80% written. You force yourself across that threshold of deployment. Once that single product is live, the abstract mystery of e-commerce is solved. You see how the checkout functions. Adding the second, more complex product becomes an iterative process rather than this monolithic hurdle.
Okay, so once you pick that single product, step 2 focuses on storefront design. And here's where it gets really interesting. The source material doesn't just say make it pretty, it explicitly states that a clean look makes people feel safe to buy from you.
Yes, the psychology of safety.
How does choosing a specific font or a representative color actually trigger a safety response in a buyer's brain?
It relies on a concept called processing fluency. The human brain is constantly scanning digital environments for anomalies.
Okay.
If a buyer lands on your checkout page and there are clashing neon colors, low-resolution blurry images, and 4 different unaligned fonts, the brain has to work incredibly hard just to parse that visual information.
It's chaotic.
Exactly. That high cognitive friction triggers a subconscious alarm. The brain equates visual chaos with a lack of professionalism, and that immediately cascades into a lack of trust regarding data security.
Right, the buyer's internal monologue says, if this person couldn't be bothered to align their logo, there is no way they have securely encrypted my credit card data.
Exactly. It screams scam site. Conversely, high processing fluency, clean typography, ample white space, high-resolution images, and a cohesive color palette that allows the brain to parse the environment instantly.
It reassures them.
Yeah, this frictionless visual experience signals competence. The buyer feels a sense of order, which lowers their anxiety. They aren't consciously analyzing your hex codes. Their subconscious is just registering the environment is safe. And that drastically reduces cart abandonment rates right at the critical moment of purchase.
So aesthetics are literally a conversion metric. It's not just about vanity.
Not at all.
Okay, so steps 3 and 4 bridge the setup to the actual sales. This is the automation and connection part. Adding a description, setting a price, and linking that PayPal or Stripe account we talked about. In the past, this was the heavy lifting, right? You needed a developer to wire the payment gateway to the email software.
Oh, yeah. It meant generating oath tokens, reading complex API documentation, writing custom webhooks. It was brutal.
But the sources highlight the all-in-one nature of this dashboard now.
Yeah, the modern deployment process has abstracted all of that complexity away into a simple graphic interface. Linking Stripe today requires, quite literally, clicking a button, logging into your Stripe account via a secure pop-up, and authorizing the connection.
That's it.
That's it. The OAuth handshake, the secure exchange of cryptographic keys that allows Payhip to request funds on your behalf, all of that happens invisibly in the background. It's entirely built in.
The technical barrier to entry has essentially flatlined to zero. Okay, so the store is built, it's looking safe, the files are loaded, and the payment gateway is linked. But here's the harsh truth from the text. A beautiful store in a digital desert makes absolutely no money.
That is the build it and they will come fallacy. It's the most persistent myth in all of e-commerce.
A deployed storefront isn't a marketing strategy, it's merely the destination. So we have to talk about making a sale, telling people where to find you.
Right, because if no one knows it's there, it doesn't exist.
The sources really unpack the strategy of social media integration, the absolute necessity of including the shop link every single time you post a video or a picture.
We have to view social media not as the endpoint, but as the top of a behavioral routing mechanism.
Behavioral routing, I like that.
If you post a highly educational thread on Twitter or a really compelling short on TikTok, you are capturing attention. But online attention is highly volatile.
Yeah.
If you expect the user to watch your video, open a new browser tab, try to remember your name, Google it, find your storefront, and navigate to the product, your conversion rate will be zero. The friction is simply too high.
They will just swipe to the next dopamine hit.
Exactly, which is why the link in bio or the direct description link is mandatory. It reduces the journey from inspiration to transaction down to a single click. You are leveraging the algorithmic reach of these massive networks to prospect for buyers and then immediately providing a frictionless bridge right to your optimized checkout.
And when you let the system do the work, you achieve the ultimate dream mentioned in the text,
Right.
making a sale while you sleep, the sleep economy. Let's bring this all together and trace the complete life cycle of that automated midnight purchase, because
Yeah.
this really encapsulates the magic of digital delivery we've been talking about.
Sure. So you are completely offline. A user in a different time zone discovers a YouTube video you published 3 months ago. They experience a spike of intent, they click the embedded link, and they are routed instantly to your storefront. The clean neuroaesthetics of your page establish immediate trust. The user selects your course, and they enter their payment details.
And you are completely unaware this has happened. The machines just take over.
Exactly. Payhip's API packages the data and pings Stripe. Stripe performs that heuristic fraud analysis, underwrites the risk, charges the 2.9% plus 30 cents, and returns a success token. Payhip registers it, deducts their 5% fee, and dynamically generates that secure download link. Then, Payhip automatically formats an email with the receipt and the secure link and sends it to the buyer's inbox.
And this whole process takes, what, 3 seconds?
Less than 3 seconds. The buyer gets immediate gratification and access to the file, and you wake up, check your phone, and see the net revenue successfully deposited. The decoupling of time and income is complete. You built the asset once, you engineered the system once, and the software executes the logistics infinitely.
It is the ultimate manifestation of leverage. We really have mapped out a massive architectural shift today. I want to summarize the journey we just took. We started with the historical friction of the internet's stupidity tax and deconstructed how platforms with zero upfront costs completely bypass it.
Right.
We analyzed what you can actually upload, the psychology of bundles, and how to bypass security limits using ZIP file lockboxes. We looked at the importance of clean design for buyer trust, and finally, the automated magic of digital delivery. You truly do not need to be a tech expert to start this.
The underlying current beneath all of this is the democratization of deployment. The massive technical and financial gatekeepers that historically protected the e-commerce space, they've been entirely dismantled.
Which leaves us with one final provocative thought to ponder. If you are sitting on a hard drive full of valuable templates or unedited video modules or half-written manuals, platforms like this have eliminated all the traditional excuses. The gatekeepers are gone. The infrastructure is just sitting there waiting for you.
The only bottleneck left is your own hesitation.
Exactly. So the only thing standing between you and a functioning digital business is deciding what knowledge you want to share. What is the very first idea you're going to put to the test?